George Pickens coming to Dallas felt like a swing for the fences when the Cowboys sent a third-round pick to Pittsburgh. And right now, that swing is starting to land hard. When the Cowboys made that move, plenty of people saw it as a risk. Pickens had flashed elite athleticism in Pittsburgh, but also carried a reputation that made some teams cautious. Fast forward to now, and what's happened in the first stretch of his time here is unmistakable. He's not just making plays. He's changing the way defenses have to approach Dallas's passing game, and he's doing it with production the numbers actually back up. Through the early weeks in Dallas, he's been targeted consistently, racking up a 36-catch, 607-yard, 6-touchdown pace that's forcing opponents to respect him on every down. And that kind of immediate impact is exactly why ownership is already talking about his future. Jerry Jones himself was asked about a possible extension and didn't dodge it. He said that any and everything about George Pickens has crossed our minds, and that Pickens is definitely a topic of interest because of the success he's having, which is about as clear a signal as you can get that the team is at least thinking seriously about keeping him long-term. Now, before you get too ahead of yourself, there are a couple of things to keep straight. First, Pickens is on the last year of his contract, which changes the negotiation dynamic. Second, Pickens reportedly said, after being traded, that he wanted to prove himself before signing a new deal, so he might not be in a rush to take whatever's offered immediately. That tension, the team wanting to lock up a breakout performer and the player wanting to increase his leverage by finishing the season strong, is the classic setup for the kind of high-stakes conversations we'll be watching over the next few months. In plain terms, Dallas has every reason to want to keep him, and Pickens has every reason to want to show he's worth it. So the timing and the dollars are going to matter a lot. But it's not just numbers and contract math. This is also about culture and fit. Reports and quotes in the last few weeks have praised Pickens as a positive influence in the locker room, a guy who's meshed with teammates and coaches, not a disruption. And when you combine that with the production, you get a very different picture than the one some people had before the trade. Even Cowboys legend Dez Bryant has chimed in, essentially pitching Pickens, ceedee, on staying and building something with CeeDee Lamb here. And that kind of endorsement from a hometown great only adds fuel to the idea that Dallas may want to keep this trio together. So, look, I'm not saying the Cowboys will hand him a deal tomorrow, but between the on-field numbers, the locker room talk, and Jerry's public comment that the team is discussing Pickens internally, it's clear this is moving from interesting mid-season storyline to front office priority. Quick fan interaction. I want you to vote in the comments right now. Should the Cowboys try to lock Pickens up before the season ends? Or wait until he finishes the year to get a clearer picture and possibly pay more? Type now if you want the deal done ASAP, or wait if you want them to let him finish the season and potentially chase a bigger payday. Also, if you're enjoying this breakdown, do me a favor and hit subscribe. We're trying to push to 16,000 subscribers so I can get you more deep dives like this and a special episode on what Pickens' extension would mean for the salary cap. All right, that sets the stage. Now, let's talk about what George Pickens is actually doing on the field, because numbers alone only tell part of the story. His 36 catches for 607 yards and 6 touchdowns are impressive. But it's the way he's generating those yards and creating opportunities that really sets him apart. Pickens isn't just a deep ball threat, though his ability to stretch the field forces defenses to respect every vertical route. He's also running crisp intermediate patterns, breaking tackles, and finding seams in zone coverage. Dak Prescott clearly trusts him. often looking his way on critical third downs and red zone opportunities, which says a lot about how quickly Pickens has earned a role in the offense. The chemistry is real, and it's not something you can manufacture overnight. You can see it in the timing, the anticipation on slant routes, and even the way Dak subtly adjusts his drops, depending on where Pickens is going to break open. What's also interesting is how Pickens compares to his time in Pittsburgh. The talent was always there, but he often struggled to find consistent chemistry or the right scheme fit. Here in Dallas, the system plays to his strengths: bigger chunks of yards after the catch, freedom to use his size and speed mismatch against defenders, and a quarterback who's willing to let him make contested catches. That combination has produced highlights week after week, and the results speak for themselves. Defenses are no longer able to load the box or cheat coverage because Pickens is a constant threat downfield. And while the stats are important, it's the intangible stuff: locker room presence, attitude, and ability to elevate teammates. That really makes him a difference. Reports indicate he's meshed seamlessly with the group, and that's exactly the type of personality the Cowboys want around younger stars like CeeDee Lamb and Tony Pollard. Even Dez Bryant's shout-out about Pickens staying in Dallas wasn't just about hype. It's an endorsement that carries weight in the locker room and shows how respected he's already become. Now, I want to hear from you. Which Pickens catch this season made you say, "Wow," the most? Drop the minute, the game, and why in the comments. I want to see if fans are as impressed as the numbers suggest. And if you're nodding along thinking this guy is already changing the offense, hit that like button, because it tells me you want more breakdowns of how these plays impact the Cowboys season. So, the takeaway here is clear. George Pickens is producing at a high level, building chemistry with Dak, and making the offense tougher to defend. That combination of tangible stats and intangibles is exactly why Jerry Jones and the front office are already thinking about his future in Dallas. It's one thing to flash on tape, it's another to create sustainable production and leadership on and off the field, and Pickens is doing both. Up next, we're going to dive into the extension talk itself, what the numbers, timing, and potential contract look like, and why this could be a defining decision for the Cowboys in the next few months. All right, now let's get into the part everyone's curious about, the extension talk. George Pickens is in the final year of his contract, which naturally makes this a hot topic. Jerry Jones didn't shy away from addressing it, saying that any and everything about George Pickens has crossed our minds, which is basically as transparent a hint as you'll get that Dallas is already considering keeping him long-term. But here's the thing. Contract talks are rarely simple, especially when a player has the potential to explode the way Pickens has. He wants to prove himself before signing, which is smart from his perspective. If he continues this pace, his market value could climb significantly, and that leverage gives him the power to negotiate a deal that truly reflects his impact. From the Cowboys' side, there's a balancing act. Do they pay big now to lock him up? Or do they wait and risk another team or a bigger bidding war if his numbers keep climbing? Cap space is always a concern, and the front office has to consider how committing a substantial sum to Pickens will affect other players. Look at what Jerry Jones has done recently with internal extensions. Players like Darren Bland and Tyler Smith got taken care of, but timing, performance, and team needs dictated the structure of their deals. Pickens could follow a similar path, but the stakes are higher because he's already showing he can change games, and that puts a premium on getting it right. The timing question also matters in terms of strategy. Extending him now could stabilize the receiving core, keep chemistry with Dak intact, and give the Cowboys confidence in building around him. Waiting until the end of the season could give them more clarity on consistency and durability. but it also opens up risk. What if injuries, defensive adjustments, or other unforeseen factors shift the perception of his value? It's a classic scenario. Pay now and secure the asset, or wait and potentially pay more or face uncertainty. Here's a quick interaction for you. I want to know what you think. Would you rather the Cowboys pay Pickens big now and lock him in, or let him finish the season before making a call? Comment, pay now if you're all in, or wait if you think patience is the smarter play. And while you're at it, throw out what you think a fair contract figure would be. It's always fun to see fan perspectives on these negotiations. Don't forget to hit subscribe too if you haven't yet. We're racing toward 16,000 subs, and once we hit that, I'll break down exactly what a Pickens extension could do to the Cowboys' salary cap and roster flexibility. The bottom line is this: George Pickens has proven he's worth the conversation. The Cowboys' front office is evaluating the numbers, his impact, and how the deal fits into long-term strategy. The next decision will tell us a lot about the team's philosophy, how much they value top talent in the moment, and their willingness to invest in a young star while he's still ascending. Coming up next, we'll zoom out even further and look at the bigger picture. How locking Pickens in affects the Cowboys' playoff window, roster planning, and overall championship potential. Now, let's step back and look at the bigger picture. What locking George Pickens into a long-term deal really means for the Cowboys' window. On the field, his presence transforms the passing game. Defenses can't cheat toward CeeDee Lamb or the running game because Pickens stretches the field vertically and horizontally, opening up space for everyone else. That alone increases Dallas's ceiling in any playoff scenario. But beyond the X's and O's, it sends a message to the locker room and to other players. The Cowboys are willing to invest in young stars who are performing at a high level. That can create a culture of loyalty and stability, which is something Jerry Jones has talked about when extending players like Deron Bland or Tyler Smith. Locking in Pickens would also have ripple effects on roster construction. Cap space would need to be managed carefully, but it could give Dallas a clearer path in planning the next drafts and free agent moves, knowing their top receiving talent is secured. Imagine pairing Pickens, Lamb, and a strong running game together consistently. That kind of continuity can be the difference between a first-round playoff exit and a legitimate Super Bowl run. And let's not forget, Jerry Jones has always been proactive about building around his stars when the timing feels right. So if Pickens continues to shine, it's likely we'll see movement on this front sooner rather than later. For fans, this is an exciting narrative. It's not just about the stats or the highlight reel plays. It's about seeing the team make decisions that show they're committed to winning now and planning for sustained success. I want to hear from you. If Pickens stays long-term, do you think the Cowboys have a real shot at a Super Bowl window over the next few seasons? Comment yes or no, and let's get the debate going. And while you're at it, hit that like button if you're excited about what Pickens could mean for Dallas's offense. Don't forget to subscribe as well. We're closing in on 16,000 subscribers, and every new subscriber helps me deliver more insights like this directly to Cowboys fans. So, when you tie it all together, the trade, the production, the chemistry, the extension talks, and the long-term implications, it's clear George Pickens isn't just a mid-season story. He's a cornerstone that could define the Cowboys' strategy for years. Jerry Jones is thinking about the bigger picture. The front office is evaluating both immediate impact and future cap management. And as fans, we're lucky to witness this unfolding in real time. It's a mix of strategy, skill, and timing that makes the Cowboys' approach to Pickens so fascinating. Keep following along, because the next few months could set the stage for a defining chapter in Dallas football.